Hi everyone, welcome to my latest vlog where I'm out and about in Washington and the United States. This week I've headed down on my bike down the National Mall. The National Mall in Washington is the quintessential tourist mecca for anyone coming to Washington. It was designed by, well, the whole city was designed by a French guy called Pierre L'Enfant. And he designed Washington National Mall to be a democratic, egalitarian place that everyone could come and visit, in complete contrast with the Palace of Versailles, where only royalty could get into the gardens. So someone also told me that the roads here are really confusing and they will go all over the place and not make any sense. And apparently Pierre L'Enfant did that deliberately so that the British wouldn't be able to find things if they decided to come back and finish the job after independence. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't find them that hard to get around, but anyway. So the National Mall is pretty much a straight line. So you start with the Capitol building all the way through to the Washington Monument, and then head down to the Lincoln Memorial. And then on the side, there's a whole pile of stuff as well. So I thought, look, this is a fantastic opportunity to get on my bike and take it all down, go down and take some photos and show you what it looks like. So I'm really fortunate to really only be a 5-minute bike ride away from Capitol building. So off I headed and had a bit of a ride around it, and a little look at the gardens, and there's a lovely pool in front of it. And so of course when you're at the top of the hill there, Capitol Hill, you can then see all the way down to the monument and the memorial. So that was pretty cool. There's so many buildings and things on the sides of the mall. Majority of them are the Smithsonian's, but there's some pretty cool ones. The Smithsonian Castle, I think they call it. I haven't worked out yet why they felt they needed to build a castle. Anyway, what I did find though, I was going just in between the Capitol building and the Washington Monument. One of the roads was blocked off and had barricades up and you couldn't get through. You just had to sort of go around a little bit. I was like, oh, what's going on? Because at every crossing, and there's a lot of crossings because they like their pedestrians over here and they like to keep them safe. So they have heaps of crossings, and there was someone at each crossing stopping people from going and around. They said they were filming, and I said, oh, what are you filming? They said something for Netflix. And I said, it's going to be anyone in there that we know. And they said, Kathryn Bigelow's directing. And I went, oh, wow, that's very interesting. So later when I got home, I did Google what Kathryn Bigelow's up to. And it is some kind of White House thriller set in, and filmed in real time or whatever thing. I just sort of thought it sounded a bit like 24 then, but White House thriller coming out on Netflix. And so the bits I saw of it were just basically a whole pile of cars coming down. So they had like a cavalcade, like it was a presidential cavalcade. So, I don't know, I just sat there and watched and didn't do too much because, you know, I did hear them say, rolling, and I'm thinking, oh, this is really happening. That's just a bit trippy. And so I'm going to have to watch it when it comes out and see if I'm in it, standing at the side of the road with my goofy bike helmet on. So I'll get back to you if I am. So that was interesting. So I headed down to the Washington Monument. I don't know if I've put a few more photos up of the Washington Monument. When I first got here, I lived really close to the Washington Monument and did a few walks and take photos. So hopefully you've seen that. So I didn't take too many this time. And just near there then is this lovely big memorial to World War II. And then there's the pool of reflection, the reflecting pool. So that's the one where Forrest Gump jumped into and when they had that big Vietnam protest. Okay, obviously in the movie, not in real life. It wasn't reflecting too much the day I was there. It was looking pretty green and algae ridden. But the ducks were enjoying it, so that's okay. So the steps of the Lincoln Memorial where Martin Luther King Jr. had his "I Had a Dream" speech. There's a lot going on around there at the moment. They've got some work that they're doing that's going to take a couple of years. I think they're going to put a museum underneath the memorial. So it's all a bit scaffoldy and things like that for the next couple of years. So hopefully I'll be here when they're finished and I'll go have a look. Up I went to have a look at Old Link, and it is really huge. It really is really big. It's a big statue. And then they had all of his most important speeches, or his ones that are well known, up on the walls as well. And there was a lot of people there, as there always is. And I know from the Simpsons episode that there's always lots there. I still had a bit of peddling power in me, and so I thought I'd branch out to a few things that are on sort of the other side. So again, we've got the mall, and then there's lots of memorials on the way. But then the Thomas Jefferson, I think, is sort of, I don't know if it's in line with the White House. So you've got, Monument and Capitol Building and Lincoln, and then maybe the White House and Jefferson. I might check that, and then maybe something down the bottom if I'm just making things up. Anyway, off I went to pedal around a little bit more. So on the way round to the Jefferson Memorial, there's a lovely memorial to the Korean soldiers, and so this was just a whole pile of statues of soldiers as if they were on patrol, which I thought was really interesting. Then I went to the Martin Luther King Jr. Spot, where there's a lovely statue of him and some water features, and again some of the words in his speeches. And that was lovely, and that's starting to look over the tidal basin of Washington, of the Potomac River. Then I went round to the Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR's memorial, and it was him, a statue of him. Obviously it wasn't him. It was a statue of him in a wheelchair that he had designed. And I went, oh, that's nice. I thought that was a bit small, because it seemed smaller than, it wasn't lifelike. And I thought, okay, well, that's the memorial to FDR. Well, the other presidents got really big stuff, but okay. And then realised, no, that was just the start. Because unbeknownst to me, that FDR had 4 terms as president. No other president has had 4 terms. And so there was then 4 different parts to the memorial, each one with a history of what he'd done, a water feature. They do like water features over here, and I'm not going to complain, because I love a water feature. I love a waterfall. I'm a sucker for a waterfall. So I took lots of photos. I haven't included them here because you might not want to see all of the waterfalls. But yeah, so each area sort of had dedicated to each term and what he achieved in that time and all the things that happened. And obviously there was a depression, and there was a world war during his presidencies. So there was a lot to get through. So by the end of it, it was quite a large memorial that I think, maybe Lincoln and Jefferson might be thinking, well, we only got a statue and a very big mausoleum-looking building. No water features. So the Jefferson Memorial is a lot smaller than the Lincoln Memorial, and he has to stand up a lot. The statue has him standing. It is a humongous statue though, and again it had all of his relevant speech, or his known speeches on the side of the building, on the side of what do they call it? If someone can tell me what they call a building that houses a statue, I guess it's just the memorial. So it was really nice. I saw more ducks out on the tidal basin. I will be going back there because around that area are a whole pile of cherry blossoms, and they were provided by the Japanese long before World War II, and they gave them a whole pile. Then I think World War II happened, and then they dug them all up, and then all was forgiven after World War II. So I think they'd managed to keep some, but then I think they got some more anyway. But every spring, for a small amount of time, they all blossom, and it's a beautiful, wondrous sight. So I'll be going back there next year to hopefully get that and get some pictures of that for you. It's a massive festival, and whenever you're looking at souvenirs of Washington, they always have some that are dedicated to the cherry blossoms. So at the moment they were looking quite nice. It was a lovely path to ride along next to them. Look at all gnarly branches. I like that. So yeah, so that was basically it. I was headed home, and I thought I'd stop at the National Botanical Gardens. I'd heard a couple of corpse flowers were about to flower, so I thought I might see if my luck's in and I get to see them. So I headed up to the Botanical Gardens. It's not as big as what I would normally see at Botanical Gardens, and I know someone said, oh, you need to go to the Arboretum, the tree place, where it might be a bit bigger. So this was a small place. They did have a big conservatory, but it was mainly just flower beds and things like that. The Titanarum corpse flowers weren't blooming. I think I missed it by a couple of days. But you know, I've been very lucky to see a few in Adelaide bloom, so I wasn't too worried that I didn't see them this time. So I really enjoyed it. It was good, and it was only a few hours that I was gone. Oh, probably wasn't even a few hours, maybe a couple of hours. I stopped along the way and got a drink and just took my time, and it was absolutely beautiful. So that was a good day out, and I know that I'll be doing that one again, I think, because it was a nice easy ride. So the next day I decided to head into the National Archives. Now this is a huge building, but there's not a lot that's on show, and maybe I just didn't really look around what was there, but there wasn't really too much. I know that as soon as I'd heard that they had a copy of the Magna Carta, I knew I had to go there. I wanted to see the Magna Carta because it's just such a pivotal document in all our histories, really. And so got there, saw it, took some photos, couldn't read it, and went, excellent. I was really excited, but I got to see Magna Carta. And I think it was a little bit like, when I was in there, like some kind of nerd that I am, and was just really, really happy. And then realised, oh well, I was doing a bit of research for this to be able to tell you why the US had a Magna Carta, and found out it wasn't the actual 1215 Magna Carta that was signed at Runnymede, or one of the versions of that. It was actually one that was reissued in 1297 by King Edward I. Look, 1297, 1215, that's still, you know, a very old document. I was really happy to see it. And the reason why the Americans had it is they must have had, I don't know how they got a copy, but they certainly used it as a sort of justification for why they were not happy with the Brits around the War of Independence, like, you know, what before the Revolution. So why they felt that they should be getting treated the same as English people, just like the Magna Carta stated, that, you know, all the rest of it. So that was certainly their reasoning for why they felt that they had to go down the route of revolution. So I thought, oh, that was very interesting, even if it wasn't the actual Magna Carta. There were other things in there, and photos of the actual Capitol building being built, which I thought was really interesting, and other kind of stuff. But the main place in National Archives is what they call the Rotunda, and that's where they have the big three. They don't call them the big three, that's what I've called them. So that's where they have their Declaration of Independence, their Bill of Rights, and their Constitution. So we'll go in there and have a look, and they've also got other documents, and they do it in a chronological kind of order, where they'll have facsimiles of documents, actual documents, where, you know, George Washington was putting together the Constitution, scribbling out and writing stuff on the side, and I found that really interesting. So took a few shots of that. Now, the National Archives are quite happy to say, look, take as many photos as you want, you know, just don't put a flash on, but really it's go, fill your boots. The only thing they did have a sign of, please don't take photos of the 3 founding documents. So I went, okay, so that's those 3. And when they put, you know, they put a little label next to things, so you know what they are, and it clearly says facsimile under some of the things, so you go, I can take photos of that, that's okay. There were a lot of people that weren't, and I don't think they understood what the founding documents were. I know I did hear, overhear one lady who was at the facsimile of the Declaration of Independence and writing that, and the crossed out bits and things like that, and the history of, 4th of July, etc. And she did say, oh, so that's why it's on the 4th of July. That's why we celebrate 4th of July. Look, maybe she was joking. Maybe she was just being sarcastic. I don't know. But she sounded like, when you find things out, like I was this age when I found this out, wasn't that, wow. Well, yeah, I think that was hers. That was her wow moment, that the 4th of July is celebrated because of the War of Independence. So that's all I've got for you this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I wonder if you realise that I didn't even mention the weather once. My friend Tracy messaged me and said, look, she's enjoying the vlogs. Actually, I don't know if she actually did say she was enjoying the vlogs. I think I'm just putting words in her mouth. Anyway, she said, please stop going on about the weather in Washington because it's absolutely freezing in Adelaide, Australia at the moment. And no one wants to hear about how warm it is in Washington. So, yeah, so I reckon this is the first vlog that's only at the end where I've talking about the weather a little bit, and I'm not even telling you what the weather is today. But I am in a tank top because I went to the baseball, because they were giving away tops. You have to pick your days when you go to the baseball because they will give away stuff. They might give bobbleheads away. They might give, I don't know, kids shoelace charms and things like that. Last week, it was Christmas in July, ugly Christmas sweater tank tops. So that's what I've got. And we had it up there so that we could get them. And so I'm really happy with that. Next week, I think I'm going to be giving you somewhere different than Washington. I'm heading down to South Carolina and I'm going to be going to Charleston. So I'm looking forward to that, and I will talk to you all next time. See you later.